Unforgotten ended rather splendidly, I would say.
We don't use that word enough, to be fair.
It was almost like a strangers on a train type ending to this one, where we learnt that David Walker was killed by Rosie Cavalliero's
Marion.
but it was part of an agreement where Marion, Colin, and Sarah would kill each other's abusers. We learnt that they were all abused.
I feel like that's been done before somewhere.
As I say, Strangers on the Train, which was a Hitchcock film, popularised this, where two men meet on a train and agree to kill off people in their life, the other person that they've just met, so neither of them gets suspected of it.
And the reason Nicola Walker's character came to this conclusion was very clever, because she realised, or she proposed, that Sarah's alibi for the murder of David Walker was too neat and tidy and cleaned up and perfect. And then she started to put the pieces together.
Well, it was at the end of the last episode, wasn't it, that they said none of this quite fits together. I've got a theory, and if I'm right, there were going to be more bodies. And basically, we learned that they were all three of these characters were all abused. Sarah was the one who was abused by David Walker. Rosie Cavalliero's character, Marion, was abused by her father, hence her sort of anger towards her mother and her sister. Her mother, played by Wendy Craig, knew about it but sort of ignored it, didn't believe her. Colin was abused by the leader of like a sort of boys brigade.
Troop, boys brigade.
Yeah, it was sort of, I can't remember the phrase they used, but yeah, when he was 11, I think, wasn't he? Oh no, 9 he was.
It's the sort of thing where if you watch this again, and I said this to Chris Lang last night on Twitter, we were talking, and there's certain things that even our overly trained TV brains still don't pick up on, or mine didn't. So the fact that these three people had gone into professions to help save other people. We had Sarah the teacher, we had Colin the barrister stroke lawyer, we had Marion the nurse.
Work, as we learned, didn't he?
We had Marion the nurse, Colin also saving a young girl from an abusive family and adopting her and things like that. But the problem is, I think it's natural in any crime drama to try and to not spend the time suspecting people and look at it objectively. Had we had the option to watch Unforgotten Series 2 again, yes, we'd know everything, but we might view the actions of each of these characters differently.
With the missing as well, didn't we? Unlike something like Line of Duty, I mean, we got it a bit with the Jonas Armstrong character, but there was a lot going into the depth of what happened and the detail. I mean, Mark Bonner was absolutely excellent in this, talking about his experiences, being abused and how he still hasn't gotten over it.
What was so wonderful about it, we've praised Unforgotten for this before, was just its quiet nature.
It never got too preachy. I mean, there was a scene where Nicola Walker goes into the sort of Boys Brigade Club and saying, like, they said it wouldn't happen here, it said it wouldn't happen here. And that's probably the most preachy it got. There was also a brilliant resolution of the Peter Egan story, who the dad, being confronted by his wife's lover and getting the letter that she wrote the lover saying that it made her realise that she should be with her family.
I remember saying to you on Skype that it felt like after episode 5, Chris Lang and co had a lot to cover.
Yeah.
There was only 48 minutes left of the whole thing. Yeah,
because I said to you I'd watched the episode before it aired, and you said it feels like they've got a lot to cover.
But I think what they did so effortlessly was they gave everybody a conclusion. Even I loved the final moments with David Walker's son. He nearly, which would have been heartbreaking.
The happiest ending, with little what's her face from Called the Midwife. Someone we haven't praised is Lorraine Ashbourne. I like the way sort of her character sort of held herself and stuff. She admitted, yes, I did know my husband was sleeping with a young girl. He said she was 16. He said it was consensual. She used the phrase about it being a different time, and I like that. You could tell through the writing, as he said to you when you had that interview, that it was the story he wanted to tell for the first time round about the historic sex abuses and about... Was
it Lorraine's character who said, rock stars would have underage girlfriends, and we'd all think it was endearing and sort of... you know, things
Yeah,
like
so
that.
she was saying about it being a different time. There was two things. Well, as you said, like about these characters all getting their own moments. You got a brief scene with each character with their partner, and you didn't. You sort of had to do more of the groundwork yourself, if you know what I mean. You knew that Sarah would be all right with the Adil Akhtar. You weren't sure what was going to happen with Marion. Like she admitted to her husband.
Maybe I read it wrong, but I
Yeah.
got the impression that because each one of them had told their story to the
Mm.
people in their lives that mattered, that they had then some sort of closure.
I really liked as well the scene with the social worker, which I felt
Yeah.
was really, they admitted to the social worker what had happened with, the bribery and everything, and she was getting a bit knocked herself, but that felt real to me, and that was a scene which I think a lot of dramas would have struggled with, but I think they did that brilliantly.
My
Secret Life
favourite bit
Theory.
was a bit that I don't think I've seen in any other crime drama. Was the final 10 minutes was Sonny and Cassie in the cafe
Yes, that was brilliant.
discussing where they went from here, and so they met up and they sort of decided between themselves not to go any further. We had a scene at the beginning where sort of Cassie's boss said, "Look, we can't be wasting money on this if it's going nowhere." So she had a bit of an out, but there was a great sort of it messes with people's moral compass a little bit. These people have done wrong, they've taken lives, but have they been punished enough? And that's what it was about. And Chris told me that it was the last 10 minutes was his favourite bit of television he's ever made, and I can completely understand it because it was understated, it was real, you believed every second of it, you believed these characters would think this way, it wasn't out the blue, and actually you didn't want, or at least I didn't want to see them all go off to prison.
No, it was really well done.